So after 6 years and what's likely to end up being around $2 billion, the Venom trilogy has come to a close with Venom: The Last Dance. Let's get into it. Hey, what's up everybody? Nick here, and today I want to give you guys my spoiler-free review for Venom: The Last Dance. Now, at this point, if you like the Venom movies, you just like the Venom movies. If you don't, you're not going to end up liking this movie. I can tell you that right now. I find myself a Venom fan. I was there opening night in 2018, and I was on my honeymoon when Let There Be Carnage came out, and I went and saw it opening night on my honeymoon because I loved the first movie. Look, I think Tom Hardy is perfect in this role. I've always loved the character of Venom, and finally we're getting standalone movies focused on that character, and I was just really all about it. I have to say, going into this, I was really bummed out because they were calling this The Last Dance. They were saying it was the final chapter, and even Tom Hardy himself said, yeah, this is it, guys. And it's obviously no secret that Sony's Spider-Man universe is a total mess. They have no idea what they're doing. There's so many flops that it's just getting hard to keep up with at this point. Madam Web, I have not seen because I heard it was absolutely awful and it flopped. Morbius I thought was fun, but it wasn't a particularly good movie, and that flopped. They're really worried about Kraven the Hunter, even though I think that one looks solid. The only thing they've had going for them has been the Venom movies, which is why I was so like, but why are you ending them then? Like, if you want to keep these characters, if that's part of the deal you made with Marvel, like, why would you want to give up the one thing that you have that is successful? But maybe they have a plan, maybe they don't. That's not really my problem. So getting into it, I'm going to start with the cons, as I always do. And this movie had a few cons. First and foremost, the pacing at times, especially in the first half of this movie, is pretty bad. There are times where we just cut to a scene that we have no idea what's going on. Sometimes we even get a character that we've never seen before, we know nothing about, and we're just thrown right into the middle of something, and we're kind of waiting for it to unravel. And it eventually does, although sometimes it's to lesser effect, but the pacing is kind of all over the place in the first half of this movie. There were parts where I was just genuinely not interested in what was happening. Also, if you've seen a trailer, you know that Null is the villain in this one. Now, if you know anything about the character of Venom from the comics, Null is like their creator that has been imprisoned by the symbiotes and is trying to get free so he can kill all of them and basically just, I don't know, destroy the universe. He's like Sony's Thanos that they're trying to build up to almost. And the trailers made him look really intimidating and like he was going to be the big bad of this movie. And while he is the big bad of this movie, I have to say one of the cons is that he is super underutilized. And if you're not doing another Venom movie after this movie, I honestly am kind of confused because I just feel like you don't do what they did with Null here if you didn't have plans for Venom in the future. But we'll get into that in the back half of the video. So those are my two main cons that I had with the movie. The pacing at times and kind of just, I don't know, under-delivering on Null. Having said that, the pros of this movie are the same as the previous two Venom films. And that's why I said if you like the Venom movies, you're gonna like this movie. First and foremost, Tom Hardy is great as Eddie Brock. He's genuinely, he was born for this role. I think that this is his defining role, in my opinion. This is what I'm going to remember Tom Hardy for. I think he embodies Eddie Brock so well, and I think just the camaraderie between he and Venom is just great. It's hilarious. I really, really enjoy their connection throughout these three movies. It's almost like this movie takes on a Thelma and Louise kind of like vigilantes on the run. And I really liked it. Like, I really liked their dynamic in this movie, as I have with the previous two movies. I've also got to say the VFX in this movie are easily the best of the three, and they make sure to showcase them. There are multiple sequences where I'm like, oh, damn, okay. Those flops aren't totally bankrupting you, Sony. Okay, y'all know what you're doing. There's some really, really good effects in this movie and some great action. Like, really, and it's just... There are times throughout the first two movies where most of the time the effects are great, but there's a couple times where you're like, that could have used a little more rendering, maybe a little bit more money. Not so much here. I think the effects are incredible in this movie all around. Now, while I think they underdelivered on Null, I really liked him finally coming into the fold here because he is like the big bad for Venom. Like, he's his creator. And it was really nice to see them bring that character in here and kind of tease that. That was really exciting. I'm definitely looking forward to what they could possibly do. And we'll get into that at the end here. And I'll give you guys a spoiler warning. Don't worry, we're not there yet. But I did like Null. And I liked that they cast Andy Serkis as Null. He was the director of Let There Be Carnage, which is kind of crazy. But he's also just a really, really good actor when it comes to playing these types of things. Like whether it's Snoke or whether it's Gollum. Like, he's really good at that. And surprisingly, the biggest compliment I'm going to give this movie is it actually has a lot of heart. Whereas a movie like Morbius had no heart. And I'm assuming Madam Web didn't either. I'm sure I'll get around to watching it eventually, but I'm going to go ahead and assume that's safe to say. But this movie has a lot of heart. There's actually a couple sequences where I was actually sitting there and I was like, damn, ow, man. That kind of hurt me. Like, and that's good. And I think that a lot of that is because of Tom Hardy. He's so good in the role and he clearly takes ownership and pride of it that, like, he really gives it his all. And so there's a lot of heart in this movie. There's a lot of moments that are, if you care about the character of Eddie Brock and Venom, you're gonna care. You're gonna find yourself being like, oh wow, that resonated with me. Guys, overall, if you're a fan of the first two movies, you're gonna like this movie. And I'm a fan of those two movies, so I liked this movie. This is probably my second favorite of the three. The first one is still my favorite. I loved that movie, and I feel like I'm never gonna not love that movie. But this is a really, really solid movie, and it's a good time if you're a fan of Venom and specifically Tom Hardy as Venom and Eddie Brock. If you like this world, if you've been bought into this world, you're going to like this movie. If you haven't, it's just never going to be for you. And that's totally fine. So again, I recommend this movie to you guys. I'm not over the moon about this movie. I thought it was pretty good. I'm definitely going to own it, and I really don't want it to be the end. But if I were to tell you guys whether or not you should go see it, I would say if you like the Venom movies, you should go see it. Now, if you guys don't want any spoilers, click off right now because I am about to get into a spoiler because I have to talk about this before I go. So that's your warning. Here we go. And all right, so as far as the Null thing goes, clearly Sony is trying to set him up to be a villain, the Thanos of their Sony Spider-Man universe. But at the end of this movie, presumably Venom dies. And if Venom dies, and this is the end of the Venom films, it's probably the end of the Sony Spider-Man universe, because even if Kraven is a modest success, which I think it actually might be, wait, you don't build off of that. You're not bringing Morbius back. Madam Web is DOA. Like, how are you building out to a larger universe? Why are you introducing this big bad now when it looks currently like you don't have a universe to bring him into? That's why I was so frustrated, because as much as I liked having Null in this movie, albeit very brief, and I like the tease that the mid-credit scene sets up, it doesn't make much sense for it to happen at the end of the Venom movies. Now, there is a post-credit scene that alludes to the fact that part of the Venom symbiote that we saw earlier in the movie is now gone and survived the explosion, which could lead you to believe that Venom is not entirely dead. We also know that part of Venom's symbiote is also in the multiverse, over there where Spider-Man takes place. We saw that. So, like, Venom isn't entirely dead. And that post-credit scene is to tease that. So my question is Tom Hardy really just being, I don't know, political here? And he's like, essentially saying like, oh yeah, it's over because he wants more money? His contract was 3 movies. So are we waiting for like a new contract? Or is it more like they're not going to do standalone Venom movies, but Tom Hardy will return as Venom in like a team up or a larger product like that? I don't know. But it's just weird. We're going to have to see where Sony goes with this one. We're going to have to see, because when you bring in Null and you tease what you're teasing and you clearly under-deliver on it because you have bigger plans, those plans have to come to fruition or I'm going to be super pissed. Like, super pissed. But yeah, guys, I had to let you guys know that. So if you watch this, let's discuss this in the comment section. I really want to get into it with you guys. So that's it. I'm gone. Go see Venom: The Last Dance. This is Nick at the Lost River Drive-In, and I'm pulling out.